Hello, BookTube. Who wants to go through some mail? I got so much earlier, and I've waited on it so I could open it with you. So let's see. We've got a little pile of packages here, and we'll see if anything leaps out. I'm assuming that everything here is going to be a 2018 release. I could be wrong about that. I might still get December releases, but I'm assuming not. Assuming that we're just too far afield. So watch all of them be 2017 releases. But let's see what we have here. Okay, this one comes out in the spring. It's another Con Iggulden book, not one that I know. Remember, just recently I got one on the Rise of the Tudors. But this is called The Abbot's Tale. Isn't anything that I recognize? Okay, well, what have we got here? From the New York Times bestselling author comes a new novel set in the red-blooded days of Anglo-Saxon England. This is the original game for the English throne in the red-blooded days of Anglo-Saxon England, not the watered-down, wishy-washy days of present-day Anglo-Saxon England, where the best we can do is Nathan James, I ask you. The year is 937. I remember it well. Second marriage to death. The new King of England, the grandson of Alfred the Great, readies himself to go to war with the North. His dreams of a united kingdom of all England will stand or fall on one field on the passage of a single day. At his side is the priest Dunstan of Glastonbury. Oh, I'm sorry. I elided there, I don't know why, that the king's name, of course, is Alfred the Great. At his side is the priest Dunstan of Glastonbury, full of ambition and wit, perhaps enough to damn his soul. His talents will take him from the villages of Wessex to the royal court, to the hills of Rome, from exile to exaltation. Through Dunstan's vision and by his gut... I'm reading this summary and I'm already sensing what's happening out there. Don't think I can't see you. Don't pay attention to her. Eyes on the prize. I sensed it. I don't even remember where I was in this. Just remember, I'm the cute one. And finest historical writer, and Men's Tale of Power, etc. We'll move on. My psychic deployment was interrupted there. We'll just move on now that I have reprimanded you all. Let's see here. What's this next one? Oh, fantastic. Okay, it's a paperback reprint of a hardcover that I'm pretty sure we saw on this channel. It might be, of course it's going to happen, right? That we're going to get to the point where we're seeing paperback releases of books that we saw as in the whole stage of their life. I'm sure that it's already happened, that we've seen a book in an advance, in a reader's advance copy, then in the finished copy, then in the paperback. And this is one of those. This is by Pier Paolo Barbieri, and it is Hitler's Shadow Empire. This is the paperback version of a book all about the Nazis and the Spanish Civil War. So the paperback comes out... okay, paperback comes out a month ago, but that's okay, because I'm pretty sure I don't have the hardcover anymore, and yet it's one of those history books that I liked more the more I thought about it. Broke a lot of ground. I really do think that in the study of the conjoinment of these two political movements, everybody's going to have to use this book from now on, and that's always interesting. That's always fascinating to know that 10 years from now, if somebody comes out with, say, I don't even know. Well, if somebody comes out 10 years from now with a new 1,000-page biography of Franco, which could easily happen, this book will be there. It will be heavily relied upon for the work that the author did. So that's great, especially since I don't think I ever reviewed it. I don't think I ever reviewed the book, so this will give me another chance to do that. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right, so a paperback release of a serious work of history. All right, so we're off and running. Historical fiction and a paperback release of a serious work of history. So let's see what's next here. Oh, okay. All right, we're doing well. The next one this is due in January, also from Harvard. This is the finished copy of a book that I got an advanced copy for. I'm very happy to have this. After Ireland, a study of writing the nation from Beckett to the present. Ireland is suffering from a crisis of authority. Catholic Church scandals, political corruption, and economic collapse have shaken the Irish people's faith in their institutions and thrown the nation's struggle for independence into question. While the author explores how political failures and economic globalization have eroded Irish sovereignty, he also sees a way out of this crisis. After Ireland surveys 30 works by modern writers that speak to worrisome trends in Irish life and yet also imagine a renewed and more plural and open nation. That will be the bloody day. But anyway, who are the authors here? We have, oh my, well, of course it's Edna O'Brien. Good Lord. The bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral. You can't write about modern Ireland without mentioning her. But we also have Frank O'Connor, who I love, and Richard Power, Shay Heaney, and a bunch of other things. Okay, and also, very encouragingly, a lot of authors who are not translated, or who are almost scarcely ever translated. That's wonderful. And I should expect no less. That's wonderful. Boy, there's a lot of Irish stuff in here. I mean, of course, after Ireland, you're going to have a lot of Irish stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of Irish stuff in here that's so Irish that it's never made it to the English-speaking world. That's wonderful. Because as you can tell from these comments, I never got around to finishing the advanced copy. So this is a book where not only am I going to enjoy myself, but I bet I'm going to learn a lot. It's anyway, let's move on. We're on a streak here. I'm almost dreading that it's going to end and how bad it's going to be when it does. There is a new 50 Shades of Grey novel out after all. It could easily make its way to me. And then what happens? Okay, all right. This is another Harvard book. All right, so somebody at Harvard just sent all these things, and that's great. This is a classic Harvard University Press book, the kind of thing where unless it goes to a specialist at the New York Review of Books, it's hard to imagine it's going to get reviewed. Are you chewing on something, little girl? You are, aren't you? You're chewing on plastic. Kindly don't. Kindly don't chew on plastic, little girl, while I'm making a video. It's by Sunil Sharma, and it's called Mughal Arcadia: Persian Literature in the Indian Court. Whoa. Okay. So at its height in the 16th and 17th century, the Mughal Empire was one of the largest empires in Eurasia, with territory extending over most of the Indian subcontinent and much of present-day Afghanistan. As part of the Persianate world that spanned from the Bosphorus to the Bay of Bengal, Mughal rulers were legendary connoisseurs of the arts. Their patronage attached poets, artists, and scholars from all parts of the Eastern Islamic world. Persian was the language of the court, and the poets from Safavid Iran played a significant role in the cultural life of the nobility. This book explores the rise and decline of Persian court poetry in India and the invention of an enduring idea found in poetry, prose, paintings, and architecture of a literary paradise, a Persian garden located outside Iran, which was perfectly exemplified in the valley of the Kashmir. Okay, well, whoever wrote that really earned their keep, because that makes you want to dig into the book. It doesn't give you at all the feeling that this is specialist material. And that's wonderful, because it's entirely possible that it's written for the generalist. That would be great. So this is due at the end. It came out at the end of November, so it's out already. It's not, but out here is in heavy air quotes. This is not going to be at your Barnes & Noble. You're going to have to order it if you want it, but I think it sounds fascinating. So I'm gonna, I will. This is great. We're on a roll here. This could be that rare phenomenon on my BookTube channel of an all Steve mail haul. That almost never happens, and it's kind of odd. You'd consider that it would happen more often, considering that most of the stuff that I get, I request. But it doesn't. There's always something in the that I didn't see, and maybe even if we're being brutally honest, don't particularly find interesting. But anyway, let's forge on here and see what we have here. Okay. Don't know what this is. It looks like science fiction. That would be great. I never get science fiction. It's a paperback original coming in the spring from Simon & Schuster. It's called School for Psychics by K.C. Archer. What's that for a cover? This is book 1. Teddy Cannon isn't your typical 20-something woman. She's resourceful, she's scrappy, she can also read people with uncanny precision. What she soon realizes, she's an actual psychic. When a series of bad decisions leads Teddy to a run-in with the law, a mysterious stranger intervenes. He invites her to apply to Whitfield Institute, a facility hidden off the coast of San Francisco where students are trained like Delta Force operatives. They learn telepathy, telekinesis, investigative skills, and SWAT tactics. And if a student survives their training, they go on to serve the highest levels of government using their skills to protect America and the world. Okay, that saved itself. That was headed on a one-way special train trip to Hogwarts, and then it saved itself. Okay. In class, Teddy befriends Lucas, a rebel without a cause. Oh my God, the ups and downs of this are just killing me. Who can start and manipulate fire. Jillian, a hipster who can mediate communication between animals and humans. What's the big deal about that? I did that just this morning. And Molly, a hacker who can apprehend the emotional state of another individual. But the apprehend, that's got to mean in the sense of take upon herself, not just the sense of understand, of learn, of know. Because I know psychopaths who can apprehend the emotional state of others. You don't have to go to a special academy to be able to do that. No, it must mean that she can take it. It's just an ambiguous choice of words, that's all. But just as Teddy feels she's found where she might belong, strange things begin to happen. Break-ins, missing students, and more. It leads Teddy to accept a dangerous mission that will ultimately cause her to question everything. Her teachers, her friends, her family, and even herself. Okay. Alright. K.C. Archer, we're told, is a pseudonym. For the purposes of clarity, I should point out it's not me. And this is the first book in a new Stay Up All Night series. Okay. We'll see. The writing will determine that. The plot description, as we've just seen here, let's just say it walks in a lot of very familiar territory. It would have to, well, actually, let's try page 112 and see if the writing shows any promise. He rarely takes on individual students, Jeremy added. Out of the corner of her eye, a cliche, Teddy looked at Pyro, who had been silent since she sat down. She willed him to help her change the subject. Though he'd been the one to rescue her earlier, now he put his hands up as if to say, "Don't look at me." Fine, if that's how he wants to play it. Teddy turned back to her dinner tray. She was starving. She wasn't starving. She was hungry. She'd skipped lunch, and it was more than that. She felt drained. Anyway, Teddy's a star, and we should celebrate, Jillian said. I'd like to toast with something shaken, stirred, or on the rocks. She slid a glass of wheatgrass to the edge of her tray. Let's go to the cantina. Dara laughed. What do you say, Teddy? Are you game? She was exhausted, and she needed to take her mind off the walls and astral bodies, Liz Cook's complaints, and Molly's secrets. And the way Teddy knew how to do that was via booze and boys. Teddy tried to catch Pyro's eye again, but he was focused on his wheatgrass. I'm in, she said. Not extremely promising, but it's only one page, and page 112 in this particular random reading was only one half of a page, so you never know. In the new year, I will certainly give it a try, and I will report back. Then the last thing we have is this boat-sized white thing, which, if this were SFF 180, it would be the hottest, most anticipated science fiction or fantasy release, but I don't get those. In fairness, I don't review those, so there's absolutely no reason why I should get them, but still, one feels neglected. So what have we got here? What is this Oh, fantastic. All right, School for Psychics ruined a streak. This would have been a completely Steve Mailhall otherwise. This is the finished copy of the book that I read and loved. This is the finished copy of An Uncommon Reader, The Life of Edward Garnett, who is, it's the subtitle, Mentor and Editor of Literary Genius. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I had my problems with it. It has some noticeable social blind spots, as if the author, Helen Smith, let's find out who Helen Smith is, as if she were so concentrated on some aspects of her research that she missed the elephant in the room in others. I noticed that as a trend, a little mini trend in some of the more abstruse biographies of 2017, where not the Muhammad Ali or the Harry Truman biographies, but the ones like this one that are, you know, doing a lot of heavy lifting in an original inquiry. I've noticed that there was quite a few of them. There were quite a few blind spots in that Lucy Parsons biography and a bunch of others. I view them as such things. It doesn't usually happen many times in 1 year, but I view them as one of the endemic dangers of doing original research. If you go to your publisher, like Ron Chernow, and they say, we'd like a 1,000-page biography of General Grant, please, and you say okay, well then you know what you're going to do. You're either going to go in person or you're going to hire a researcher to go to archives, to walk over battlefields. You're going to take your time to think about your approach, but you're not going to be breaking any new ground. Whereas if you do something like this, you're almost certainly going to be prowling with your fingers through long boxes of original documents in some cataloged, numbered, and sequenced archive in some library somewhere, whoever bought them or wherever they were donated. You're almost certainly going to be doing that. And it's tough when you're doing that to finish and then take the big mental step back at the end and say, all right, what does all this tell me? Instead, you're just going to blast forward. And it can cause a biography like this that's breaking new ground to be uneven, to have blind spots. And I noticed that in this. They weren't distracting in any way. It's a fantastic book. But let me read you a bit about it here. Okay, the publicity sheet. And the publicity sheet has a blurb at the top. The School of Edward Garnett's might be the classification of English literature across a quarter of a century, or indeed for more than 30 years. I think that it is an unparalleled achievement. Your criticisms have always gone personally from you to the artist. Astonishing, as I said. And that blurb is from Lawrence of Arabia. To my friend and protector of love and literature. And that blurb is from D.H. Lawrence. Okay, so, but what do we got here? Joseph Conrad, D.H. Lawrence, John Galsworthy, T.E. Lawrence, Edward Thomas, Henry Green, Liam O'Flaherty, Sean O'Casey. These were among the illustrious authors mentored by one man. Exactly, numerically, half of whom are good. I don't know what that means as a batting average, but let's just forge on. The renowned Edward Garnett. He was to the British world of letters what Max Perkins was to the American. For half a century, from 1887 to his death in 1937, Garnett held literary court, mentored new writers, and wielded his blue pencil with enormous passion, humanity, vision, and persuasion. He developed deep ties with his authors, blurring the lines between their personal and professional lives, finding them homes to live in and write in, loaning them money when he could, digging them out of drink and depression. And the book is all about that. That isn't the blind. The blind spots are all about his personal life, his home life. But it doesn't matter anyway, because the bulk of the book is about his professional life, and it's amazing. It makes amazing reading. Also, amazingly bookish reading. This is if you have, like, for instance, I know we're not doing a recommendations video here, but if we're coming up on the holidays, so it's on my mind every time I talk about books with anybody. But if you have an extremely bookish person on your list, somebody where you know they want a book, but you have no idea what to get them because they're very much swimming in the deep end of the pool, this is a good candidate to get them. They probably won't splurge on it themselves, but they will find it fascinating. They'll know all about this guy, but they'll never have read a biography of him. So you might want to keep that in mind. And of course, the book, the pub sheet ends with just a list of blurbs from Walter D. LeMaire, Joseph Conrad, John Galsworthy. So what did E.M. Forster have to say about Garnett? Mr. Edward Garnett occupies a unique position in the literary history of our age. He has done more than any living writer to discover and encourage the genius of other writers, and he has done it without any desire for personal prestige. It's a very good book. I can't genuinely say that it penetrates Garnett. He remains largely inscrutable throughout, despite the fact that the author uses tons of letters and tons of, as you heard, tons of testimonials from other people. It doesn't lay him bare, and I don't know that maybe no biography can, so maybe that's not fair. But anyway, so that's it. That was a pretty good mail haul. It wasn't completely Steve. We were ruined by a debut novel. But there you've got an Uncommon Reader, then School for Psychics, then Mughal Arcadia, about an illusionary and vanished promised land for a Persian letter. Then After Ireland, in a finished copy, a nice dark, somber green finished copy. Then Hitler's Shadow Empire, about the Nazis and Franco's Revolution. And then The Abbot's Tale by Con Eagledon, which is would be the second Con Eagledon book that I have on my shelf. And that's it. That and only that. There's no background. There's no pudgy little behind watching the traffic. Eyes on the prize. We'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.